Welcome to Win Talk Radio, where you will learn how to talk truth and take action. Hosted by WIN, Women Impacting the Nation. Join your hosts, Sue Trombino, founder and president of WIN, Debbie Healy, public policy advisor for Faith, Family, and Freedom, Carrie Campos, co-founder of Self-Evident Ministry, and Janique Stewart, founder of Love Protects Ministry and speaker with Life Training Institute. For more information about Win Talk Radio, go to our website at womenimpactingthenation.org. Because remember, when we show up, we win. Well, welcome to another episode of Women Impacting the Nation's Win Talk Radio. And I'm so excited today because number one, I have at the very end over here, I have my co-host, Debbie Healy. And then we have an incredible couple, and we have Toni and Mike Gonzalez. And Mike is the general manager for the Christian Television Network of Palm Beach. And we're talking about the call sign, which is WFCG, which is WFGC, Word for God Channel. Mm-hmm. And then Toni, Mike's wife, and she is the business manager for not only the station, but I'm sure their household and everything else.
Absolutely.
And but we're just so excited to have both of you on our Win Talk Radio, as this is just such an exciting time because we are now going to be partnering with Christian Television Network of Palm Beach. And so I just really want our audience to know who you all are, because as soon as we met you, there was just such an amazing connection, and it's just, God has truly just opened doors since we met you. And so Mike and Toni, Mike, why don't you start and just tell us a little bit about you and how you came to be the general manager for quite a long time of
FGC.
FGC, there you go.
Word from God Channel.
Okay.
GC, yeah. Well, I've known Toni since she was 6 years old.
Oh my goodness.
And we went to the same school all the way up to graduation.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And her mother was my fourth grade teacher to twist my ears when I talked in class. And all. But we have always been good friends. We were married, and we just knew that whatever we did, we wanted to do it together. And God pulled us. First, we got saved after an argument about Toni was a planner, and I got a 5-year plan, and this is what I'm going to do. And I had just gotten saved. I mean, I grew up in a Christian home and church. I was a church boy. The door flew open, I flew in, but wasn't saved, And after I had just come to know the Lord, Toni and I were having this deep discussion about our purpose and our direction, and maybe God had something for us to do that was specific and particular. And I said, what are you going to do? What do you think we ought to do for the rest of your life? What are you going to do?
And I had a list.
I love it.
All I was going to do.
I'd like to hear that list someday.
But he challenged me.
Toni was an accountant major and she does all things organized. I wouldn't even be an organized person if it wasn't for Toni, but she's organized. And I said, well, Toni, if you accomplished all of your goals today, what would you wake up and do tomorrow? And what did you say?
I'll make more goals.
Make a new list.
I'll make a new list.
New list.
And I was in the Air Force. I used to be an Air Force musician, and I was stationed in Washington, D.C., in the Air Force Band in Washington, D.C. at that time. Wasn't in broadcasting. And we had our first argument after we were married, and she said, just go to work. Just go. And so I went to work, came home after the full day, and I had forgotten about our little discussion, And I opened the door, and she greets me, and she says, ask me that question again. Ask me that question again.
Because I was ready now. I was on.
I said, well, what question? I had forgotten about the whole thing. But she was thinking all day, what if I accomplished all my goals? If I accomplished my purpose, my personal purposes, what would I do tomorrow? And she started reading Ecclesiastes. Of all the books in the Bible, you read Ecclesiastes, The Disillusioned Man. What is life? This is the whole book. And I thought, how in the world do you get something out of a man who's disillusioned? And she said at the end of the book, this is the whole duty of man to serve God.
Oh my gosh.
And I said that will never change, and I can do that.
And it was from that little revelation that we got on the same page spiritually, because we'd always been on the same page you know, in other things because we've been just good friends. But spiritually, that's what makes a difference. And God began to lay foundation, and both of us had a heart for reaching as many people as we could with the most important message there is. And I ended up getting out of the Air Force, came back to Florida, and got into broadcasting. I just got invited to do, you know, people said, well, you got a voice, you need to be in radio. Well, I started getting offers to do narrations and commercials and things like that, and God opened one door after the other, and we got into broadcasting. I was in secular broadcasting. I worked for an NBC affiliate in Tampa. I was on the radio and playing top 40 stuff. And this Christian television network came on the air, and I was watching TV, and I thought, what do they do? I think I'd be interested in that. So they invited me to their first fundraiser, which was a golf tournament. I went to that, and they said, well, you got a good voice. You need to start doing some announcing. So I started doing announcing and things for the Christian television station. I liked it so much, I quit the other job, the secular job, and started doing Christian broadcasting. And now, 42 years later.
What did you just say? No.
42
Wow.
years we've been
later.
doing this.
Wow.
And Toni raised our kids. We have 8 children. So a lot of this broadcasting stuff we didn't get a chance to do together because Toni was at home raising our children. We homeschooled and did all that. But I've enjoyed, how long have you been? We didn't get a chance to work together until we moved here.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
So you've been here. The office manager that was here went home to be with the Lord.
Yeah.
And I asked Toni, I said, could you just, your organizational skills are needed. Can you sit in a little
Would
while?
you like to be part of WIN? I need it, not my team, but I need it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was a stand-in, you know, until they could find someone else. But I guess I did it too well, so I've been
Every
here
time she wanted to quit and go back home, I'm like, it needs a little bit longer. And now, how many years have you?
I've lost count. It's over 10
Oh,
that I've
For
been.
the last 10 years, I've had the pleasure of not just telling her about, you know, Christian television. She now knows firsthand, and we've been working together for the last 10 years, and I've enjoyed every day. I can't say she has, but I've really enjoyed it. Yeah.
I mean, that is, I just, in my spirit right now, that is so awesome to see that you, as a husband and a wife, that you work together, you just love being together. And I mean, obviously, it shows with what you do, but that's an awesome story. That's an awesome story. Now, do you want to add anything to that, Toni?
He did pretty good.
I can see why you guys get along so well. So, so how did we meet? When did we meet?
I used to homeschool, and I had officially retired from homeschooling because all our kids have been raised. But I was asked, they wanted to put on an event, and so they were getting all veteran homeschoolers to, you know, come and be a part of it. And so I volunteered to go that particular day to go to the meeting, and I happened to walk past your table. And everything I heard from all the people I was greeting at the door and coming out of your meeting, they said, this is awesome, you gotta hear her. Well, my schedule wouldn't work for me to hear you, so I left my business card. And I said, tell her I wanna talk to her. Because the first thing that popped in my mind was she would be perfect to do American History Insights. And that is something that's missing on the air. You know, for Christians to at least know where you came from and a little more about it. And I wanted to do it in tidbits because most people only, you know, different companies sell their items in 60 seconds. So I figured we could, you know, promote God's history in that. And I think when you finish your talk, somebody told you that this lady wants to talk with you.
It was Connie, one of my office managers. She came over. She goes, "Oh, this gal wants to talk to you. She has, I think she has a television station or something. I don't know." I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "Where is she?" She said, "I don't know." And next thing you know, she pointed you out to me. You were sitting at the table with those ladies.
Yeah.
I sat down, introduced myself, and it was like we became. I felt like, oh my gosh, she's like my. I don't have a sister, but she's like one of my sisters. You know.
Yeah, it felt like we've known each other forever.
Forever.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And then you invited me to come up and meet Michael,
Right.
and which I thought was really awesome because that's the first thing you said. He said, "Oh, I want you to meet my husband." Oh, wow, that's pretty cool. And then, should we tell him the story of what we just talked about?
Yeah,
You
sure.
can.
Okay, so we're sitting there, and obviously Tony had already told Mike about what we did at Win, and then Mike asked me, and as everybody knows, I can talk a streak, and he asked me, but you probably said, I'm so sorry I did ask her, but what are other things that you would like to do? And I said, well, you know, I mean, everything I put in that God puts in my head, I put down on a piece of paper and I write it down, and so far it's come to fruition. It's just been really amazing. But I did say one thing. I said, we haven't done, I'd like to do the winning minute. And you two started laughing. You both looked at each other, and I said, can I be in on the joke? I mean, I don't know what we were laughing at, and then I don't know if you told me?
We had been talking about that for a while.
Okay.
And we had been looking for someone that could do it. Like it would come from the heart. And it was just a part of them. And everyone that we'd come across before then, it wasn't. It would be a task. It was not just a part of them. And so when you said that, we thought, okay, she's the one.
Well, because he said, but didn't he say to you in the morning?
Yeah,
I think
that
so,
morning.
That morning he says, I think Sue needs to do the winning minute.
Yeah, and that was before
Not
we had
knowing
talked.
what I, you know, was, and I said the winning minute, and that's why you guys were laughing. I
Yeah.
thought, but as soon as that happened, I said, okay, this is like amazing. This is like God opening the doors.
Really.
And then it just, a lot of things that you all have been, that we've been a part of, it just seems like it's just such a fit, you know, it's just a God thing.
And it's so interesting and really exciting for us on our team, on Women Impacting the Nation, because one of the things that we are very dedicated to is going to these conventions, going to events, and being able to network with different people from all walks of life. And I mean, we'll go to South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida, wherever we need to be, and you just never know when God's got a door there that He just wants us to walk through it. And then when we do walk through it, look what He opens. It's just awesome. It is such a God thing when these things happen. And that's why it's so important to us to have a presence and to really be taking that action and going out there and lifting people up and just
Absolutely.
sharing our ministry.
You know, I was so, when you asked us a couple weeks ago about doing the National Day of Prayer, I just, and after we did it, today or whatever, it was just so God. Everything just flowed, and I want to thank you for really, you know, I want to say, not only giving us the opportunity, but trusting us enough to do that, because that's a big deal when you're going to put somebody on a station. And but tell me what do you guys see for what you're doing with your television network? I mean, where do people find CTN, or where do they go, and then what do you have in store in mind for CTN?
CTN started as one television station in the Tampa Bay area, Clearwater, Florida. And CTN started October 24th, 1979. 14 days later, I came on board.
Oh, wow.
So I've been with CTN since the very beginning, 14 days after they started. So I've watched this network grow from one station. We have 21 stations now, 21 physical licenses and buildings and locations throughout the country. And we're on, we have an international Hispanic channel that we birthed here in West Palm Beach.
Yeah.
We have, we're on DirecTV, we're on all of the major outlets. And we're on Glory Star, which can be seen in Israel and Africa and things like that. But what God's doing, essentially what He put on our heart when we first got saved, is I want to be able that whatever's happening anywhere in the country, I don't want anybody to miss it. If something is happening in Keokuk, Iowa, I want people in Miami to see it. Because if God moves, nobody needs to be in the dark about that. And we didn't know how we'd do it. We were sitting on our back porch just dreaming out loud.
On his grandmother's back porch.
Oh yeah, we didn't own the back porch at that time. Yeah, but God began. I didn't realize that all I was doing was echoing what God had put in my heart to do. He had literally called us into mass media, and over the last few years, we've just been able to do things and get simple little things that are put on our hearts. We have a room in this building. We call it the Situation Room. And if you know, in the White House, they have a place where you can, if the president and the cabinet or all the higher ups, they can literally sit in that room and see what's happening around the world. When we go in our situation room, it's like God downloads things into our hearts that are happening in other parts of the world, or he begins to tell us what we need to start doing to impact parts of the world. So essentially it's not a burden at all, it's a joy. What he dropped into our hearts is that I want everything I do to be seen everywhere I work. So that's what we work toward.
You know, I want to continue with this. We're gonna do another segment real quick, if you guys don't mind staying on here. And then so I would like you all to just join us coming back for the second segment with Mike and Toni Rodriguez. And is it Rodriguez or Rodriguez?
Gomez, Gonzalez,
whatever you like.
Gutierrez,
No,
Gonzalez.
Gonzalez. Oh my gosh! You know why? I'm not kidding. I shouldn't say their name, but we have a Toni up in Georgia.
Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't say the name, but anyway, up there. So I just said that, Gonzalez. I'm sorry, but this is just so exciting to me when Mike talks. It's like I just love listening to him because he just has so much God's spirit in you, and just I want the audience to hear your about dreaming and I wanted to go down that road. God, that's why I had to write it down before I forgot it, because I'll forget. So we will be right back. You can go to womenimpactingthenation.org, but just come on back and join us for the second segment with Toni and Mike Gonzalez, and we will be right back.
At Win Talk Radio, we talk truth so we can take action. And whenever I think of what that means, I really think of the sons of Issachar in 1 Chronicles 12, where it says they understood the times and they knew what they should do. I think right now in our country, most people, they don't understand the times, therefore they don't know what they should do. To really understand the times that we're in is to recognize, number one, that truth is under assault. And because truth is under assault, it impacts our moral compass. Our moral compass is shaken up, it's broken kind of like a snow globe. And ultimately what we see going on is life. There is a complete reckless disregard for human life. When we can kill the unborn to the tune of almost 1 million every single year, that should give every single one of us great pause. And that's not just some people's issue, that is every single one of our issue. Because the most important, inalienable right that we have is the right to life. But it isn't just life that's under assault. Our religious freedom and liberties are under assault. Even when it comes to just the idea of truth, when children are being taught that you can choose your sex, or that there are over 100 different genders, or maybe when our children are being taught about critical race theory and that every single white person is a racist, because this whole idea that racism is everywhere at all times, and that there are those who are oppressed and those that are the oppressors. We need to understand the times and we need to know what to do. You see, that also means that they understood action was required. We have a moral responsibility, a moral obligation to not just talk about it, to not just complain, but to also take action. That's why at WIN, we talk truth so we can all take action.
Well, we're just excited that you've come back to hear us with Mike and Toni Gonzalez of CTN, and that's Christian Television Network. And we are just so excited because we have just partnered with them and here in Palm Beach, Florida. And Mike, before the break, you were talking about how God, you were just dreaming. You were just talking and dreaming, and it hit me real quick because your dreams, our dreams, are God's tools, and we don't dream enough. I mean, it's like we are the daughters and the sons of the King, but yet we don't walk in that authority. We don't walk in that. We just think, oh gosh, and we have this whole bank with this whole table, and the Lord says, okay, you can have anything you want here, and we're going, okay, I'll take the celery stick. Well, maybe today I'll take the dip. And then we're not supposed to have, the donuts that Debbie brought or anything. But it's like, what the heck? So I'll have a donut or half of one. I mean, we we're so afraid to just go out but our dreams are God's tools.
Yeah.
And what you dream, if God doesn't want you to have it, He won't put it in your head. But you were sitting there talking about, the dreams and what God has put on your heart to do. And then we have two incredible intercessors with us, and they had talked about what the word was. It was the zeal of God has consumed me, and then catapulting, And I don't think, because we don't walk in our authority, we're missing out on so many things that God has. And I look at this picture, I paint a picture of, and I'm sure people have heard the story before, but when we get to heaven, we're going to be walking down this hallway, and we're going to come by this room, and it's going to be so bright, brighter white than we've ever seen white. We think what white is, we don't even know what white is. It's going to be so bright, and we're going to go, oh my gosh. And the Lord's going to say, we're going to say, Lord, what's in there? And He's going to say, you really want to look in there? Well, yeah, I do. Are you sure? Yeah, I do. And then we're going to look in there, and there's going to be, millions of boxes in there. White boxes, whatever, and we're like, what the heck is that? He says, those are the dreams and the things that I wanted to give, the gifts I wanted to give you, but you never asked. And so the fact that you're talking like this, how you just painted a picture, you two are sitting on your grandma's porch, just talking and dreaming, we've lost that today, I think. And because we think we don't deserve it, we don't whatever. But so talk a little bit about that and what you think of what I just...
Let me just say
Sure.
this before you get started. Many times with our dreams, we won't say it out loud. God gives it to us, but we won't speak it. But we should know once we say it out loud, then He begins to show you the path to it. Because we hold on to it because we think the way we've been taught that you have to plan it all out and know the end of the beginning before the end before you even take that step. So with dreaming, at least say it out loud. That way you can hear what you're thinking, and that opens the door for God to begin to walk you into your dream.
But then also you've confessed it.
That's it.
Right, and confession is possession, and what you
Yes.
confess, and we don't, it's like, oh, well, what if I don't? What if it doesn't happen? Then people, but there isn't it also too? You got to be very careful of who you say it to.
True.
Right, have wisdom and discernment of that, because everybody goes, oh, I got this idea, yada yada yada, and next thing you know, you got the naysayer, and then you just went down the hill because everybody's like, oh, it's not going to work. Well, wait a minute, did God put it on your heart to do that?
Yeah.
Then walk in it. It doesn't matter with your whoever's saying no. But so that's really good, Tony. Thank you for that. That's really good.
Understanding dreaming and the impact of dreams started, I think, Tony and I understand what the word broke means. We lived in communities where people who didn't have any money felt privileged when they were around us. But the thing is this, one Christmas, we were approaching a Christmas, and I think we had 4 kids at that time.
Yeah, 4.
We have 8, by the way, and we had our first 4. And then we waited 6 years, and then we had 4 more.
Right.
All right.
We thought we should do it over again.
Yeah, right. But I remember sitting there, and we were anticipating having no money for Christmas, no gifts, and it's not like you're going to die if you don't get gifts for Christmas. But I thought it would be a good thing to get our kids some gifts for Christmas. And I was sitting down talking to the Lord about it, and this does have to do with dreams. I was talking to the Lord about it, and He said, I want you to give your kids a word for Christmas. I thought, they're going to be excited about that.
Yeah.
They want toys, they don't want words. But the Lord said, no, I want you to speak over them for Christmas.
And write it down.
And write it down. So He showed me my first child, and He just began to download prophetic caricature of who He sees my first child as, and I wrote it down. And then my second child, third child, fourth child, I wrote all of this down, and when it came to Christmas, I framed it, I printed it, framed it, and gave it to them. We did the same thing for the second 4 kids. Now, here's what is significant about that. Those kids today have taken the direction of the word that I spoke over them when they were children. And I saw the Lord do this with Adam. He gave Adam his life, but He also gave Adam a job. He also gave Adam purpose. He also gave Adam vision. So a lot of what we think is our own dream and our own conjuring It's actually the Lord modeling himself through us. He whispers into our hearts things that he wants. My passion for mass media and to reach everybody on the planet with his word, I thought was just something that came out of my own heart. But the more I began to walk with the Lord, it's the Lord expressing his desire through his body. We are the body of Christ. He's the head. And where do ideas come? They come from the head. And we don't realize it. It's the Holy Spirit expressing what God's desire is through his people. Now, it's just something about our ego that we like to take credit for. You know, wow, what a great idea I have. But it was really the Lord whispering his passion and his desire and his love through us. And he did that. As I did that for my children, who in turn matured in that word that I spoke over them, I really believe the body of Christ ought to get an understanding that it is God who's whispering his heart's desire into us, and he's expressing them through us. It's Jesus who said, go into all the world and preach the gospel. It wasn't one of the disciples says, you know what, I think we got a great idea. I think we ought to go into all the world and preach the gospel. No, it was Jesus who had that passion. It was Jesus who birthed that into his disciples. And it's still Jesus who's birthing that into his body. Prophecy and the prophetic gift and the prophetic spirit is literally God speaking his will through a yielded vessel. That's what prophetic words and prophetic significance is. God's revealing himself through his people. And I know we can uniquely take credit for it. That guy's a prophet or that woman's a prophetess. I can appreciate all that because we do. God doesn't worry about giving us credit for what he was doing through us. But I think we need to realize that it is the seed, it is the Holy Spirit that plants that seed and he nurtures it in us. And he uses us in the world to touch the people he loves. And I think every ministry that's been birthed on the planet is God's love letter through that human being that he hasn't taken his eyes off of us. And if he has to send somebody in his place, flesh and blood, with a glass of water or food or what you're doing here, that's what God does. That's just his way.
Well, look at how awesome that he used that, because obviously that's your passion, and now you have a TV station and you're getting that out there, and it just, we're just so, I know I feel, I think I speak for our board, but we're just so humbled and blessed that God has just put us plop right here, right in your lap, almost in your lap. And I'm just in awe. I don't know why we should be in awe, because he's just,
God's awesome.
He's
That's
awesome.
because he's awesome, yeah.
But I'm just in awe of how he just keeps opening doors and bringing people, to win, like you all. And I just want to thank you, and I'm sure Debbie does, and our other board members, for allowing us to use this spot and to be able to partner. And we're just very excited to see what God is going to do here. And
for us at WIN, most of us laugh, behind the scenes when we're doing these podcasts. For several podcasts, months of podcasts, being on the bus, being on Liberty, and there were days, full days, where we had no AC in a bus. And there were days we would be on the bus and there'd be people mowing the lawn right next to us.
and a
Plane going over. But you know what? That was okay, because we felt we were honoring what God wanted us to do. We felt that was the direction we needed to be in. And I really get weepy because of all of our co-hosts, all of the people who come on and interview and talk and share with us. And now look where we are today. We are in a studio. Yesterday we all were here setting up with the camera crew and with our studio behind us. And everybody kept going, wait, what is that? Is that air conditioning? And what a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
What we did was stand under kind of some not so pleasant circumstances, but we still did it. We got up every day, we fixed our makeup, we got in front of the camera, And look where we are today. Well, if we just honor him, trust him,
Amen.
he's going to walk with us. He's not going to tell us or put something on our heart and then go away. He's going to stand right there and lift us up. And you are just the epitome. I'm just tickled to death that we are here and that we've made that connection.
Amen.
And how did we make that connection? We went out to a convention,
Yep.
set up a table, set up a booth. You know, we got better. We've got the other things we could be doing with our family, but no, this is what God's put on our heart, and look how He opens doors when we honor what He puts on our
Amen.
hearts.
Well, you know, when you've been given little and you do well with little,
Yeah.
then you will be given much. And that doesn't necessarily, I don't think, mean, you know, finances, money, all that, but it's just the much to me is just the wisdom and the just that, I mean, we glean from you all. And I tell everybody all the time, every time I come in to CTN, I said, you know, Mike starts to talk, and I'm just like, oh my God, did I tape in? What did you just say? I don't even remember. Because I'm getting to that age where I say, what did he just say? I don't even remember what I just said. So, but we're just so grateful. And, you know, we really want to promote, you know, CTN, you know, and I think, too, what's so vital with what you all are doing is, you know what, garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
What are we watching? This is what we need to be watching. You know, Christian Television Network is, you know, find the people that you want to listen to or whatever, but come and listen to, this is what we need to be, you know, changing our mind, renewing our mind is with the things that are really, really important. And so I'm just, I mean, I'm just thrilled that, you know, that God has just kind of woven us into this. And do you
If we're not washing our spirit in faith every day, then Satan's going to be coming after us, which is why it's so important. And Sue and I say this all the time. You know, like she just said, garbage in, garbage out. No wonder people are walking in fear. That's where we have to nourish each other with the faith, and that's what you get out of something like Christian Television Network.
Yes.
Now, and we only have just another minute or so, but Mike or Toni, do you have anything that you'd like to say to, you know, to our audience, and to maybe an encouragement or just a word that you know, God's just kind of put on your heart is to, you know, I mean, you're really good at, I think you're really good at that, Mike.
I think something that you said, you know, nothing done for God is ever wasted. And there are people who have tried many things and have probably not matured as fast as they wanted it. They've made investments that they thought are completely lost. But you've got to understand, you've got the kind of father who always looks at you with a smile on his face. God has never been disappointed in his children.
Yeah.
That's not the kind of dad he is. He's the redeemer. If it's broke and he touches it, it's gonna live. That's just the nature of who he is. And I think if you're listening right now, if you're in a place where you just don't know what's coming next, you just don't know what's next, well, it doesn't matter whether you know or not. Your dad's watching out for you, and he's gonna make sure that whatever's coming next is coming from him.
And remember, you're never, never, ever alone.
Amen.
No matter where you're at, you're never alone. He's always watching, always there.
Well, that's so awesome, and I just feel so beyond blessed to be doing this with you and during this time, and we're just really excited to see where God is going to lead next, and we're taking that one step of faith. We're not promised tomorrow, so we just take today and keep moving forward and see where. And then we'll look back and go, wow, was that not cool? And we get to be a part of this.
That's good.
Yeah.
And we just get to be a part of this. You know, I love to say, you know, it's for such a time as this. And in Hebrew, it's lezman hazeh. And I just love that because it's for such a time as this. And God put us together. So I thank you again so much, both of you,
Yeah,
Mike
absolutely,
and
a
Toni,
pleasure.
for being here. And of course, Debbie is my co-host today. And we just want to thank you all for joining us. And check us out at womenimpactingthenation.org. We have all of our different episodes on there from different topics. And we touch on all the topics. We're not afraid here to touch on anything, but we always talk truth and we take action. And even if you don't agree with anything we say, we'd love to hear your questions. If you want to go again to womenimpactingthenation.org or call us at 844-946-8255 and check us out on different social medias. And just remember, when we show up, we win. God bless you, and check us out for our next episode. Thank you for joining us at Win Talk Radio. For more information, contact us at womenimpactingthenation.org for questions, suggestions, or for more information, call us at 844-946-8255. Be sure to tune in next week for another episode of Win Talk Radio. And remember, when we show up, we win.